What we do as medical workers is part of what God would have seen being done, that his people may be well. Your boss and all your workmates should know, actually must know, that you're born again Christian. Communication is always important. It is the key. When you are at work, you should know that God has placed you there. The highest connection is God. Don't be so much consumed with work and forget God. Men always have too many excuses.
My name is Karen Lee. I welcome you to yet another episode of
Hear and See. Be inspired.
Would like to welcome you again to yet another episode where we are going to look at balancing a career in healthcare and yet thriving in ministry. We would like to appreciate everyone who liked our episode last time, and we encourage you again to like our page on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you may not miss out on any episode. In the other episode, we were looking at balancing work and ministry, and I believe many people were inspired. Tonight, I can't wait to introduce to you our guest who is going to speak to us. And join me tonight as we welcome our guest. Sebo, you are welcome to our program.
Thank you so much.
Briefly tell us about yourself. You can tell us your name, you can tell us your faith, you can tell us your marital status, above all, your profession.
Thank you. My name is Ernest Mwebesa. I'm a married man for the last 18 years. I'm a dentist by profession, a lecturer, and a pastor. Anything more? I'm a born-again Christian.
Amen. You said 18 years in marriage.
Exactly.
Wow.
And still counting.
Well, we thank the Lord so much for that. And briefly tell us, how do you currently prioritize your time between your medical practice and church ministry?
Thank you. Of course, it is not as easy as said, but by God's grace, I'm able to time myself. I mostly know that I attend to my patients during the morning hours and majorly on appointments. And I know I have to attend to the church programs. Those that fall within the week, mainly in the evening, and those that, of course, appear on the weekends, it's a must to be there. So it's all about prioritizing and timetabling yourself. Thank you.
And what challenges may you be having in balancing between your professional responsibilities and your commitment to the ministry?
Yeah, of course, challenges are many. Sometimes there is a church program that you really have to attend to, or must attend to, and yet you also have to attend to your work and, of course, your clients. So in such cases, you feel you are into what we call conflicting loyalty, choosing where to be and what to do and what to leave. But as I already said, it's all about preparation and communication. Sometimes I have to inform my clients in time that between this time and this time, I'm not going to be available so I can attend to the church program. Or sometimes even inform my senior leaders that this time I'm not able to come around because of commitment at work. So it's about communicating, and it's about knowing what priority to put forward. But of course, it's a big challenge to run a healthcare facility and also to be able to run church ministry so effectively. But by God's grace, we're able to overcome these challenges one at a time.
And when you talk about communication, have you ever been there when you communicate to your boss, let me say, at your place of work, and then he gives you a time which is conflicting with the time for church? How do you handle that?
Of course, that has happened many times. Yes, many times, but it depends on how you approach.
Okay.
Yes, the way you approach will give usually the response. So if I approached him and I informed him about my program, especially when it is early enough, then it becomes easy to schedule that program. But when you come in and it's so abrupt and you want to say, now this afternoon I'm leaving because I have a church program, and yet there are clients to be seen, it might be tricky. So communication should be in time, and that's what I've always done, and that has helped me a lot to be able to run the work effectively and also run church ministry effectively.
But when you say you are a professional dentist and then you are a pastor at church, don't you feel stressed? You have this workload, you have to hit your target, but then there is a church program. Don't you feel stressed running the two of them?
True, sometimes stress comes in. Especially you have to be an overnight at church. The next morning you have to be at work. Of course, you feel the stresses and all that, but as I already said, God's grace keeps us moving. And so somehow you get used and you're able to overcome and the stresses and you carry on.
You mentioned about overnight. Have you ever had an overnight at church? And then, do you sleep at church? Maybe I begin with that. Do you sleep at church?
Many times, yes, I do. And I actually take through the whole night at church.
So you have an overnight at church, but in the morning you have to report on duty. How do you manage this burnout?
Okay, I know that is not so very easy, but sometimes, of course, knowing when I have an overnight, I will not schedule so many patients. For example, the next day. When I have an overnight, I will schedule patients on like that. Not so many, so you don't get so much tired and broken down. But I know it is a little bit tricky, though it is very possible. As long as I have an overnight, I know the next morning I can schedule less patients compared to the normal schedules that I do.
When you mention about patients, are you talking about the people who have already made an appointment, or these they just walk into your facility, your health facility?
Yes, I'm talking about those who already made appointments. And I know there's someone coming in at 9, 10, 11, and something like that. Of course, walk-ins will always be there, and it depends. Sometimes walk-in can come in, and if he's able to schedule, and another day, that is well and good. But sometimes they come in and there may be much pain and they can't reschedule. Then you see how to fix them in. That, of course, makes it a little bit tricky that someone who's on appointment is a little bit delayed and all that. But it all depends also on how we communicate with them and explain to them, and then they can be able to calm down and work is done.
I want to know about this walk-in patient. You have a walk-in patient, but then you booked another person. And then this walk-in patient is badly off, let me say. Maybe he got an accident and he wants attention there and then. Will you leave the one you're working on and work on the walk-in patient who is badly off? How do you handle that?
Okay, in medical ethics, you have what we call triage. You want to know which case to handle first. You first look at a priority. If someone comes in as a walk-in and you have an appointment who is not yet into the surgery room, it is very okay to explain to the person who is on appointment that this person has come in, needs immediate attention, and so you are able to agree and you can attend someone who just walked in but has an emergency need. So that is the way we do it actually. Just communicate to the one that is on appointment and explain, and they should be able to understand because they're also humans. They should be able to understand, and then you can be able to handle the emergency and then handle the other person after that.
I may sound you may call me political, but I want to divert you a little bit. Don't you think this walk-in patient the one you're working upon, doesn't that person say that you're being corrupt?
Not at all.
Because I mean, you're working on me, and then later you want to work on another person who has just come in. I may call you over. We may think that only corruption is in parliament, but I may think that even in hospitals, I may take it as a political thing.
That is not true at all. As I said, communication. As long as I explain to this already waiting patient and he understands, then everything should be fine. The challenge might come in when the communication and explanation is not very well understood. But as long as it's understood, then that mind of thinking maybe someone is corrupt or what shouldn't be there.
Okay, I was going to talk about corruption in workplaces, but he's not corrupt at all, and he
That is true.
doesn't. You don't support corruption.
Of course I don't.
Okay, do you have any strategies or tools that are helpful in integrating your faith and your profession?
Of course, healthcare has many connections with our faith as born agains. Okay. We know that as born again Christians, what we do are doing it for God, and also as medical workers, what we do it on behalf of God, because that is His desire that His people should be well, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So what we do as medical workers is part of what God would have seen being done, that His people may be well.
Or you want to call yourself the Good Samaritans that we read about in the Bible?
Exactly, that's slightly different. In one way, yes, because as long as you're giving a helping hand, however much, of course, someone is also giving something, you're actually being a very good Samaritan, because you're restoring someone's health and helping them to live another day.
Okay. Yeah. That's also interesting. Now, tell us, are your colleagues at your place of work, do they help you to get involved in ministry?
Yes, they do, because all of them know that I'm a pastor at the church. Okay. And so when I tell them now I'm rushing the church program, most of them will not feel offended. Maybe I'm leaving them to do much work than I'm doing. They should be able, they actually understand, because they know that I'm doing God's work, and of course I'm a minister at church.
Meaning you want to tell us that the people we work for or our employees have to know that we have to serve in ministry?
It is very important that either your boss and all your workmates should know, actually must know, that you're born again Christian. That is very important. That is one way that you open up to even share with them the gospel. Before, if they don't know that you're born again, one, you can't share with them the gospel. But if they know you're born again, you're able to share with them the gospel, and then they should be able to understand that when you're going for church activity, then you're not maybe lying or dodging or anything. But if they don't know that you're actually born again Christian, then there's no way you can tell them, now I'm going for church activity. They will not understand. They will think it's a trick. So it's important to all our viewers and our hearers that you inform your workmates, your bosses, everyone around you should know about your faith and about your church ministry. It's very important.
That is so right. You had it right.
Hear and see. Be inspired.
How do you handle conflicts or overlapping commitments between work and church activities?
As I said, conflicting loyalties. Sometimes you feel you must be at church, and sometimes work demands. But communication is always important. Yes. It is the key. If you must be at church and you are not able to make it because you're delayed at work, you should be able to communicate in time. And of course, if you have to leave work to be able to attend the church program, still you should be able to communicate in time and inform them that please bear with me, I have to attend this service. Of course, sometimes it conflicts, but we are able to overcome it with time.
Emphasizing the communication thing, I want our viewers to know much about communication. You told us that you are a married man, and we want to know, how do you communicate to your family? You want to communicate to the church, and you want to communicate to your workplace. Talk more about communication now.
One thing all these groups should know, the activities that you run.
Exactly.
So for example, like now, even before I came here for this program, I informed my wife that I'm coming for a church program.
That is interesting.
So she already knows that I'm here.
Okay.
I informed my workmates that I'll be leaving a little bit early to be able to attend to a church program.
Okay.
So they are also aware. And if I was to be late, I would have communicated to the hosts of this program that I'm coming in a little bit late because I'm held up at work. So that is basically what I do and what I think we should do to be able to make things move smoothly and in a better way.
Wow. Communication is also vital in these things. Now, we've talked a lot about your profession and then your ministry at church. We want to talk about family now. You told us you're a married man, but you didn't mention about the children. Do you have any children?
Yes, of course.
How many, if you don't mind?
I have
Or
children.
you're yet to have children?
I have 2 girls and 2 boys.
2 girls and 2 boys.
Yes.
I'm more interested in the girls. How are the girls? What are their ages? And do they go to school? What are they doing?
Okay, my old daughter is 16 years.
16.
Yes, and my young daughter is 5 years.
Okay.
Both of them are at school. My elder daughter goes to a school for the blind, Salama School for the Blind, because she was born blind.
Wow.
But she's in school and she's studying quite well.
Okay, to be gender sensitive, let us talk about the boys also.
Of course, the boys are also in school. My second born is in P7 and his follower is in P5, and they are doing quite well.
That is interesting. Now, when you mentioned about this girl who is blind, I'm so moved as a mother. How do you handle this? You're living with a blind 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
How do you handle it? She's in boarding school.
Yeah, sure, she's in boarding school.
Are you so comfortable with the school? Do they take good care of her?
Yes, I am comfortable. Though in the beginning, of course, it was hard. It was tricky. It was challenging.
Must
the first
be.
time we took her there, the mother came back crying.
Even if it were me, I would
It
come back
wasn't an easy
crying.
moment because, of course, we knew her challenges and how much she had to be helped. But we're grateful for the school where she is.
Okay.
The time she has spent there, we have not had any issues.
Okay.
They have trained her on how to self-care. She does everything basically. She bathes herself. She can take herself from the dormitory to the dining hall to the classroom. So basically, they take care and she's comfortable. So we also as parents, we are okay with the school. We don't have any issues.
Okay. And then if I may ask, now that she's 16, you are as a father, have you trained her to take care of herself at home when she's at home? Basically, I'm talking about hygiene. You know that now that she's a teen, there's some things that happen to a teen girl.
Yeah.
You as a father, have you taken care of her? Moreover, you as a doctor.
Not in details,
Okay.
of course. But her being a girl, and of course the mom is available. The mom usually does those details. But of course I know the challenges when they come in. We communicate, she tells me, and we know, we work together and we have helped her out. And she has learned over time. So some of the things we don't feel so much worried about them when they come in.
Okay. And maybe this question would have gone to the mother, but since the father is here, I'm going to be point blank and I'll ask him. These things are mainly done by mothers, but I'm thinking even the fathers have to be involved in the healthcare of a girl child because they are vulnerable. And this girl being blind, I want the father to tell us, have you sat her down and told her you have to be clean in this moment? Basically, when her menses come, have you taught her how they do things, how she has to keep clean and all those things as a father?
As a father, I will not say yes directly.
Okay.
I've not been into those deep details with her.
Do you want to tell me that these things are for mothers only?
Not at all. Not at all. Both parents can be involved, but sometimes it's a little bit tricky. Talking about details, especially with those menses and all that,
Okay.
for a girl child.
Yeah.
Herself, she will feel shy and all that, but I know when there's no any other help, for example, a father can come in
Okay.
and give the advices and all the ideas how she can be take care of herself and all that. But for me, to be sincere, I've not been into the deep details.
He left the whole thing to the mother.
Not at all.
But I'm thinking, fathers, please get involved in the lives of your daughters as well. I'm imagining when the mother is away into business, the mother has gone to do something, the father has to come in. This is my take.
That is true. That is true. And as I said, I actually come in, but not into those details,
Particularly this girl, I'm so interested in this girl. Does she relate with siblings? And do the siblings relate to her as a sister?
Yes, they actually do.
Okay.
They really love her so much. Knowing her challenge, they want to take her to be like so special. They don't want her to do certain things.
Okay.
They want to take like good care of her.
Okay.
But we of course come in as parents and say no, let her also be used to do some things for herself.
Okay.
Of course, you can't know where life will take her and all that. So she does most of the things herself, but she associates very well with other siblings and the rest of us. She's so social.
Okay.
She loves music. She loves singing. She loves dancing.
Okay. Basically, she's a social girl.
Yes, very true.
That is also interesting. I got so much interested when he said that he has a girl child and disabled. The eyes are blind. That's why I got so concerned, and I wanted our viewers to know this. But it is good she's taken good care of. And now, Pastor, do you have any advice you can give our young people, our young generation, who have a challenge in balancing their work professionally, but they also want to serve in ministry?
Yes, I do have, and every chance I get to talk to the youth, those who are working, I always tell them this. When you are at work, you should know that God has placed you there.
Okay.
Not by any of your maybe experience or wisdom or anything. Some people call them connections, but their highest connection is God. And so I usually tell the youth, when you have work, remember you are God.
Okay.
Don't be so much consumed with work and forget God. Don't be so much consumed with work and forget ministry. Many times I keep telling them, of course, most of them will say, oh, I am busy, I'm at work, I can't come for service, you see. And I tell them, yes, even my work. I'm a dentist, I'm a lecturer, and I'm a pastor. And I appear in most of the services. So how come you cannot do the same? So my advice to the youth is try your best to balance work and also remember to be at church.
Okay.
It is all about commitment. It's all about what you love. It's all about what you want to become in the future. Don't be consumed so much with work, and forget about God. That work at the end will be useless. So work, but also remember God, be at church, be in ministry, and your work will progress better in life.
That is also wonderful. Do you want us to think that a person, these young people can work, but can still serve successfully in ministry?
It is very, very true and very, very possible. If the rest of us have done it, then why not them? They can also do it. It's all about commitment. What you love will always draw you. Okay. So if you love God, you always work, but you remember there is a church activity, there's a church service, and I have to be there.
Okay.
And I can't tell them don't stop working, because the Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. So you may not have anything to eat if you don't work. Work, but also remember that God exists and God should be served, and you should be in church ministry as much as you can.
That is also excellent. How about the married men, especially the married men? We're in a generation where we see more women in church and a few men in church. Where are the men in church? Do you have some words to tell these men to come to church, but they're also working? Because you're a professional, you're working, but still you're in church.
Yes, men always have too many excuses. But I want to caution all men, fellow men. You are the leader of your household, of your family. If you don't appear on the front line, there's no way your wife and your children will appear. So men have to lead by example. As much as we are working and working hard, fending for our families and taking care of this and that, but let's also remember to be involved in the church ministry. When you're involved, even your wife and your children will be involved because you are the head and they're looking up to you. If you fail, then you are failing your family and you're failing the next generation. I want to caution fellow men, let's be there on the front line.
The men have had hope. The men have had, and we hope they've learned something from that.
Yeah.
And now I would like to ask you, aren't you bored being a pastor? Doesn't pastorship, it appears to be boring. Tell me something about it.
Being a
Do
pastor,
pastors have a life after church?
oh yeah, sure we do.
How?
We do have life after church. And being a pastor is not boring at all or in any way.
Okay.
You can be a pastor, but you can also have free time to go out and enjoy yourself. Have some nice meal and go with your family out, enjoy some fish, and all these kind of things. So being a pastor shouldn't mean to be at church 24/7. You have another life that you can have and enjoy and have fun.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And now we would like you to tell us, when I look at you, you have like 5 offices. You're a pastor, you are a dentist, you are a father,
Yeah.
you are a husband, but you have a life also. Do you have time to go out alone? You're not at church, you're not at work, you're not at home. Now, how do you handle that life when you're alone, when you're not in these other places?
Actually, that life is very rare. That is the truth. Very, very rare.
That's why I was asking you, isn't being a pastor boring?
Not true, because the free time that I'm saying is rare is not only because I'm a pastor. It's also due to many other responsibilities. But still, in a week, you can find at least an hour. For example, after work, when you don't have a church activity, and you can go out, possibly with your wife, or even if you pass by alone. But usually, I choose to go with my wife when I have my free time.
Okay.
And then we enjoy. Yeah.
That's interesting. Being a pastor is not boring.
Sure, it's not.
You can live your life when you're a pastor, and still you can enjoy your life when you're at work. And now, do you have any scripture that you can give the young people, especially those who are doing professional work, but still they want to serve in ministry? Which is that scripture that has kept you going?
I have one interesting scripture.
Can we have it, please?
Of course, there are many, but this one, it is in Romans 8:28.
Romans 8:28.
And it says, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord, who have been called according to his will. So it means you might be at work, things are not going on well. All things work together for the good. You might be at church and ministry is not moving out well. All things work together for the good. This might come in, the other one might come in. All things work together for the good. That keeps me moving. I don't get so much stressed. When negative things come in, I always say all things work together for the good.
That's also perfect. It is also perfect. Pastor, we would like to thank you. We appreciate you so much for honoring our invitation.
Sure.
We have been blessed.
I'm also honored to have been invited, and thank you so much for the interesting interview. And I want to appreciate, of course, the rest of the team behind this, for the great work you're doing. And my prayer is that God will abundantly bless you. Keep up the good work. Shalom.
Thank you so much. All right, we want to appreciate everyone that has been watching us. And until next time, bye-bye.